this August, your wildest dreams will come true.
How sweet, fresh meat.
A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. The Dream Master.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 1988 horror sequel, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. The film is directed by Rennie Harlan and it stars Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger and we have Lisa Wilcox as Alice. Right, this time round, Freddy's back. Of course he's back. And he is initially hunting down those dream warriors from the last film that kind of got rid of him at the end of that film. So he is brought back to life by a demon dog urinating on him, on his bones or something like that. He's brought back to life. He hunts down those that gave him the problems in the last film, and then he turns his attention to Alice, another young lady at school who appears to have some kind of gift when it comes to dreaming, and Freddy is using her to kind of bring her friends into the dreams to bring him more victims. Can Alice deal with Freddy? You'll have to watch the film to find out. Right, what are my thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master? Well, while I think, and it is interesting because I have watched a couple of interviews, while I've been watching these Nightmare on Elm Street films and reviewing them, I've been kind of watching documentaries where I can and interviews with cast members and Robert Englund, and he did a good interview a couple of years ago on Inside of You, you know, that podcast that him that played Lex Luthor on Smallville does on YouTube, which I watch quite a lot of. He has some good guests on that. And he says, Robert Englund, that this is his favourite Freddy performance. He doesn't say it's the best Freddy film, but he thinks this is he says it's his favourite Freddy performance because he said the director, Rennie Harlan, was very flexible, you know, to his ideas, and he really let him, you know, loose as Freddy on this film to be as creative as he kind of wanted to be. Now that's a positive and a negative, I suppose, and I think it will depend on you which type of Freddy that you prefer. Me personally, I prefer the darker, more menacing Freddy. Some people prefer the more comedic Freddy. Well, he goes into full-on comedic mode here. Now, there is obviously a threat and a menace about him. Of course there is. You know, he's got blades on his fingers and he goes around killing kids. So, of course, there is always that threat about him. But I think the constant quips and, you know, all that kind of stuff, it's... I don't know, it just doesn't work as much, I don't think, as one of the much darker version of Freddy. And they don't even sell it like, you know, if it's almost like him, the more fear he generates, you know, the better these kids' souls are going to taste or something. You know what I mean? It's a bit like It, you know, from the It films. The reason that dresses as a clown and it chooses to go after children and scare children is because they're tastier, if you like, when they're scared. And it could have really done something with that. If it's making Freddy do these things and kind of taunting them and teasing his prey and his victims constantly, and there was a reason for it other than the fact that he enjoys it, it might sit a little bit better with me. Now, easily, hands down, me saying all that about Freddy, easily the best thing about this film is Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. He is on form here. He's absolutely... He knows his character now, inside out. He knows what to give the audience, what one-liners work best, all this kind of stuff. And he's a joy to watch for the most part. You might not appreciate, like I say, the lighter approach to Freddy, but you can't fault Robert Englund, really. He really is a joy as the character. What I didn't necessarily enjoy here in this film is the rest of the cast, really. Now, they couldn't get Arquette back. I've forgotten her name there. Patricia Arquette, is it? Yeah. Back from the last film. I don't. Obviously, her star was rising maybe at that point, or maybe she just turned it down. So the actress they get to replace her is, you know, obviously not as good. And it kind of feels like your enjoyment of the third one is diminished a little bit because he just kind of, spoilers, comes into this film and wipes out those that gave him a problem in the last film, you know, very quickly. And he moves on to his next victim, which is this Alice character. But it was almost like a slap in the face. When this film started, I really was shocked at the standard of the acting of the teens playing the teens in the film. It was jarringly bad. It was like a soap opera. You know, like, you see these American, and obviously I don't watch them, these American soaps, but I've seen clips of them and stuff over the years, and they look really cheesy and fake. And that's how it felt at the beginning of this film. And I didn't feel, this was probably the first film where I didn't feel any connection to any of the characters. They did a much better job in all the other ones. Obviously the first one. The second one, it might not be a particularly popular one, but you've certainly, you know, made that connection to the lead character there. The third one, again, there was a lot of interesting characters. And in this one, they kill off the fairly interesting characters from the last film, and we're left with seemingly dull characters and nobody really to get behind apart from the Alice character, and she lacked charisma, or you know, that she was very vanilla, the character of Alice, and she didn't seem a decent nemesis for Freddy is what I'm trying to get at. It was almost like her dream power was so, I don't know, it didn't seem as impressive as some of the dream powers that the people had in the other films, and it just like, I couldn't honestly tell you how she dealt with Freddy in this film, because it's so unmemorable, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. And don't get me wrong, there are some standout scenes here. I think the scenes with him, you know, eating the pizza with the meatballs with people's heads on it and stuff was very good, and I do think the effects again here are very creative, very inventive, and I think overall this is definitely an entertaining Freddy film, but there's a stark difference, I think, in the first three to this one. It definitely feels like it's going in a different direction, the franchise, now after watching this one. Some people may see that as a positive, some people may see it as a negative. I'm going more along the negative side, even though I've given this a higher score, I think, than the second one. I think this is a better film than the second one, and I think this is the most profitable Nightmare on Elm Street film in the franchise, up to Freddy vs. Jason anyway. But for me, yeah, it's going down a road, and I can see where the next two films are going before I get to New Nightmare, and I suspect my enjoyment's going to start diminishing fairly quickly. So, yeah, stick with me, guys. I'm obviously going to review the rest of them as well, and I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.